Morning. My name is Michelle, and again, like Jay said, I have years of experience as an education specialist in helping families make decisions regarding homeschooling. And I certainly enjoy my job now as counselor and program manager. But today's topic is on how to homeschool virtually and what that would look like. And I guess I'd like to start off by saying that the homeschooling journey for every family looks completely different. And within your family, even each child might look a little bit different. For example, I thought my oldest would love virtual school. I thought he would connect. That would be the best thing for him. It did not work for him very well. However, my youngest child, who I had no clue or didn't think virtual school would work, she thrived. That was her success story. So we're just here to talk about how virtual schooling can help you, assist you, and answer any questions that you may have. The first thing I'd like to say is in your journey with homeschooling, it's all about finding what works for your child and finding the support you need. And so any type of virtual school, obviously your classes are online, you're getting that extra support, but having a team that's backing you, supporting you, there for you, that is very crucial in your success story with virtual learning. And also probably the flexibility that it offers. One incredibly nice thing about virtual school is you basically just need a computer, a laptop. A laptop can travel with you. You don't have a stack of books that you need to carry as you go places, especially if your family does a lot of traveling, or your schedule doesn't work for you to do school from 9 to 3. It might look a little different for your family. As an education specialist, I work with families for all kinds of reasons that they choose to homeschool. But one thing I remember talking with my friends when they came to me and said, "Oh, you homeschool your children," or "I can never do that," I would look at them and say never, because there's always situations that could come up where you could find yourself needing to homeschool. And I think the world realized that in 2020 when all at once schools shut down and families were put into a position where I'm kind of in charge of my child's education. I don't know what to do. And there are avenues for you, and there are people that can help you. And we're here certainly to help you with that. I don't know, thoughts on that, Lynn?
I think it's nice that, you touched on a lot of things going through my head. I think it's, my children are older, they're adults now. There's so much more available today than there was, 20 years ago when I started, 25 years ago when I started homeschooling my children. And there are so many different options. And for me, for myself personally, flexibility was a huge thing that was important for my family. I had a husband that traveled a lot. We wanted to go travel with him. And, virtual learning is something that allows for the type of flexibility. Now, obviously not all, I think a lot of it depends on how the program is structured. I know that some of the some virtual programs do require students to be logged in at a certain time or for a certain number of hours per day. I know I personally, my children would not have liked that. They would have liked having that flexibility to, I know like my son, he could only focus on something for so long, and then he would need to be able to take a break. And I would say, go outside and get your basketball and throw some hoops for 10-15 minutes, then come back and you can focus better. My daughter, she would love to, she loved to take a break and go get in the hammock with her cat and a book and read a book for 30 minutes or something, and then come back and do her studies. And having that kind of flexibility where you can work a job or you can do other things, I think is something that certain families and situations would value.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I talk to parents all the time, and flexibility is important, not only in their lifestyle, but in their days. We have students, students that work part-time, full-time, or have, for example, my own children, I decided to homeschool my children because they were athletes and they competed. And I did not necessarily want them in public school for 6 hours a day, then coming home and training for 3 hours, and then having to do homework on top of that. And so there was a lot of flexibility in, just because of our lifestyle, their hobbies, their choices, that homeschooling allowed for us to do that, and they were able to thrive and continue in their interests as well.
You were talking about support a while ago. Can you speak on that a little bit? Because I know for some families that is definitely something that they are looking for, and in different levels even of support for parents and students.
Well, I think support is key, especially if you're kind of on the fence of, should I homeschool my child? I'm not confident in homeschooling my child. But I really feel like I need to pull them out of this situation that they're in and bring them home for a short time or even a longer period of time. There are some families that have homeschooled since kindergarten, and their children are getting into middle school, high school, and maybe they're not as confident in covering those subjects in high school. And that's where support is going to be key. And finding that support, finding a program that's going to be there, not only to support you as a parent, but also to support your student, and them having maybe that mentor or someone else that's because I talk to a lot of families, and parents want to be parents. They don't necessarily want to be the teacher as well. So we have to find that balance, and that's what you're going to get in finding a program with really good support, is that you can still be the teacher, and you can still, but you can still be the parent and not worry so much about being the teacher. Especially when it comes to, like, maybe you're not confident in grading, or maybe you're not confident in choosing the curriculum or anything like that. That's where you want to find a team that's going to walk you through and help you make some best decisions for your family based on your family's need. And I think that's
I think also looking for that one-on-one with that teacher, that individualized assistance when students are stuck, and maybe that's not the parents. I mean, I know I've heard a lot of people, a lot of parents say it's been a long time since I've had geometry or algebra 2 or chemistry or whatever those courses are, and having that one-on-one availability for
Absolutely.
a teacher to assist, I think, is huge for a lot of situations.
Absolutely. I experienced that myself. I mean, when my own kids were in high school, I did really well in geometry in high school, but that was a long time ago. And, and so I used a lot of YouTube videos and things like that to kind of refresh my memory, but we had to do a lot of research. And, at the time, I wish I would have had maybe just access to someone who just knew it and could do it like that, instead of me spending the extra time trying to figure it out. And that's why it really helped with my youngest when she did do virtual learning, that she just had that access right then. And mom didn't have to spend 2 hours researching how to do geometry.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I had an engineer living in the house.
Oh, well.
Say, wait till your dad gets home. That question for you.
Well, that would be helpful as well. That would be helpful as well. But
some of those things. is to say, you know, there's a teacher there that will help you. And
Yes,
I think that
absolutely.
is, that has huge value in, um, um, you know, making sure the virtual program offers that.
Mhm.
Um, the,
I think,
and
I'm sorry, I think also, well, what our program offers is some mentoring and coaching. And I know as a mom of athletes, the importance that a coach plays in a child's life, the importance that maybe a student leader um, plays in their life, a teacher. Um, but I believe that other people speaking into that child, helping that child, encouraging that child, and that student realizing, oh, I've got a cheerleader behind me, and it's not just mom, it's not just dad, it's these people that I'm making these connections with. I'm going to veer off a little bit and say with our program, our students, I think they're number one. When you ask them, what do you like best about our program? They talk about their mentor and how much that she is well loved, and they feel supported by her. And that's exciting to me.
she's a she's a huge motivator for those students, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No doubt
So
about
for
that.
any family that's concerned, that is a huge benefit to have that extra
Mhm.
person on your team helping your child.
Yeah. You know, you had mentioned athletics, and that's one thing that I think, um, some with some virtual programs, you want, you know, I know, like for me, I never wanted my kids just on the computer all day long.
Right.
And that, you know, the focus was that, and all the courses were there. And having that opportunity to still have that more traditional homeschooling experience with electives, and being able to do things outside of virtual learning, where students can take advantage of, you know, things they're doing naturally in life that can
Mhm.
be turned into credits, like, you know, work experience, or you know, some families own their own business and the students are participating in that. A lot of students who have, you know, hobbies and interests and passions are able to turn those into valuable learning experiences that then can count for credit. I think is a really valuable part of education that sometimes gets left out of the virtual learning. And that's something that I think is really, really important. And my husband's grandmother had a saying that, she said to me one day when my kids were very young, and we were kind of starting our homeschooling journey. And, you know, I was that kind of stressed out parent that was, you know, worried about, are they going to get everything. And I remember her turning to me, and she put her hand on me, and she said, now honey, never let school get in the way of a good education. And, you know, and I was the first person in the family to ever homeschool, so it's not like, you know, I mean, this was a foreign thing. But the wisdom in those words, I really had to think about it for a while, what that meant.
Mhm.
And there's so many things in life that have value that these kids are doing, that they get so caught up and so busy in a lot of busy work and a lot of things going on in their classes, that there's no time for that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think there has to be made time for that. There's so much value in it, and being able to count that for education, you know,
Right.
whether a student's working on the family farm, or, you know, whatever.
Right.
There's so much value in that, and those can be turned into high school credits, and a lot of times they turn into, you know, entrepreneurial business for that student
Mhm.
later in life, or a valuable skill or talent that then they take into a career later in life.
Right.
And leadership skills and work experience and all those things have value, and they all count toward that high school transcript and resume and credits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you mentioned something. I have parents, or I've worked with parents that say, well, Michelle, we got our school done in 3 hours. Like, shouldn't we be doing more? And I'm like, well, no, you're using your time. If you got your schoolwork done, if you followed what you need to get done for that day, then now you have the freedom to do the things that you've told me you enjoy doing, like hiking, or working with your animals, or sports activities. There's a lot of flexibility. If you get your courses done, you end up having more hours in the day for your family and for pursuing interests. In art, for example, we have a student who is an artist, and for the first time this year pursued watercolor, and realized that, oh, I really like this. And she just had more time because she was able to get that work done that she needed to get done, and do things that she was passionate about.
I think one reason why you keep talking about them having more time, and I think the reason we see that is because we offer an opportunity for students to test out of what they already know,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to, because how often do you hear kids say that they're bored?
Mm-hmm.
They're so bored. Our school, the curricula is set up, in everyday schools to be very, very repetitious.
Mm-hmm.
And some students do need that, and it's good that it's there for those students who do. But if you're a student who does not need that, they get so bored.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to get rid of the busy work, test out of the stuff they already know, move on to the stuff that's new information, and focus on that, I think has a lot of value, and it frees them up
Mm-hmm.
to then go ahead and have time to pursue those other interests and passions and things like that. Like one of the things that my son did in his free time is he started researching on his own and teaching himself how to do videography.
Mm-hmm.
That turned into doing videos for our church.
Mm-hmm.
And then that in turn gave him this new sense of responsibility, and something that he was being successful at. And that year I saw the biggest jump in his maturity level ever. And it was because of those new responsibilities, and the fact that he had taken on the responsibility to learn this himself and make something of it. Really was almost a turning point in, these boys sometimes they get to that age,
Yeah.
and you're just wondering, like, what's going to become of him. And it really was one of those moments, and it was having that extracurricular time and putting it to good use.
Mm-hmm.
And doing something with it. Now, he did not make a career out of that, but he still to this day loves to dabble in that, and it's a fun hobby for him.
Absolutely.
But he taught it himself, but he had the time to do that, because he wasn't bogged down in 6 hours of school and then all this homework and all this repetitive busy work.
And I think for someone who's just starting out homeschooling, and I even made the same mistake myself as a public school teacher, we think, well, our day at home needs to mimic what there would get traditionally at the public school or private school. It needs to kind of look like that. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case. Public school or private school, they're set up that way because they're trying to educate a mass, and when you're only focused on a few, you can adjust your schedule, you can adjust your day, you can add those interests, those things in, and really make it work for you. It doesn't have to look my homeschooling, Lynn, I'm sure did not look exactly like what you did with your kids at home. Yeah. And it's not going to look like my neighbors.
It didn't look the same between my two kids. Let's be honest. It looked totally different.
The curriculums that worked for my oldest two did not work for my third, and I expected that it would, but it didn't. And I needed to be able to find what her groove was and her interest and what made her, excel. And I wanted it to work for her, but it didn't. But I also kind of had a background, and I had support, and I asked people questions, and we found what worked for her. And that was how it happened.
Well, so. And it's interesting you say that, because with my daughter, she was very stressed out having 6 classes at a time. Mm-hmm. She was in a co-op, and it just really, really stressed her out. we stopped that, and we started focusing on one class at a time. And I said, hey, let's just condense this and let's see how quick you can get through this class. Because she said, Mom, I'm spending an hour on this and then an hour on this and an hour on this because I'm trying to get all this stuff done every day. And she said, by the end of the day, I have dabbled in things that are totally disconnected, and she's a big picture person. And so these little fragmented pieces of information from all these subjects that were not connected and had nothing to do with each other it didn't work for her. And so I said, well, let's try one class at a time. So she dug in and started finishing like a class a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge motivator for her, because then she started challenging herself, like, can I get one done in 3 weeks? And can I, and so as a mom, I'm thinking, this is great, I'm seeing a motivator, but did she really learn anything? Because you start to think, gosh, are they going to learn anything if you're really doing, crunching all this into a month? But because of the way her brain works, it was perfect for her, because she was able to dig in, she was able to connect all the pieces, she was able to focus on that one thing. And later down the road, I could go back later, a month later, or even 6 months later, or a year later, and ask her a question, and she could remember, because she really dug in and, made all the information stick. Whereas prior to that, she was struggling to pass exams and things like that, because it was just all this fragmented, disconnected information. My son, on the other hand, was very different. He was bored doing one class at a time. He's like, Mom, I just can't focus on, I need something else,
Mm-hmm.
and so we had him doing more classes at a time than my daughter. But for my daughter, it was totally perfect for her to be able to do that and focus on one thing, get that out of the way. The fact that was done was a huge motivator. And then she also was thinking, oh, my friends are still in this class for the next 9 months.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and she was already done. And some of her friends were like, that's not fair, you're already finished with that. And she moved on to the next course and loved that format. It was great for her.
I love that you mentioned that, because I get this question asked quite often, and as a parent of my son, my oldest has ADHD and my youngest has ADHD too. And we were opposed to medicating. I did not want to put them on medication. And back when I was a public school teacher, I had students in my classroom that were diagnosed with ADHD. And what I noticed the trend with them was typically, if they started a subject, they were fine. It was the transition of the subjects that interrupted them, and where they got discombobulated and frustrated, because I was having them move on to the next subject versus letting them just finish the task at hand before they moved on to the next subject. And so I found the same thing with my son, like you, Lynn, because he's ADHD. It was better to do one course at a time, because he can knock that course out, because he could stay focused on one thing. It was trying to juggle all the things that school or I was asking him to try to do. And I think that's also one of the beauties of our programs. I get our program because our students do one course at a time, possibly two, but we start them off with one. And that's a question that parents ask, like, are they going to get everything? But then after we talk about it, they're like, I really like this idea. And most of our students, all of our students, love the fact that they're connected to that one course, they're connected to that one teacher, and they're knocking out that one subject before they jump into their next one.
And they're doing that really quick. When they can do something, when they can get that behind them really quick, there's this pretty quick sense of satisfaction, I feel like.
Well, and then they still have their electives going on at home, or their
Right.
life. They're doing other courses because you're involved in life, but they like the fact that, hey, I have this one teacher or this one person that I can connect with for the next, 8 weeks to finish out this credit or something like that. And they really do like that. And it's good for the students. We have students that have ADD or ADHD, and it works really well for them, because they're they come to and say, they're like, I want to do that. I get frustrated with this other virtual school because I had to manage all these courses at the same time. And then it's appealing to them that they only have to work on one with us.
Well, and then they are on the computer all day long for hours on end, if that's what they're doing. But if they're working on one course and then their other courses are things that they have a passion for, and, you know, things that really fit in. I mean, let's be honest, unless a student wants to go into a mathematical field of study or career, math is probably not at the top of their list of their goals for their, you know, for their lifelong goals. But these other things that they have passions for, those do a lot of times fit into the student's long-term goal. And you know, we really try to help with that, help to get things in, you know, get the students involved in things that they really care about. Those are the things that stick with them. Those are things that they remember forever. That really becomes part of their true education, or the things that they dig into, have a passion for, they'll remember it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the other stuff they're just trying to get through because it's a requirement. So we try to make that as painless as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think to summarize, what we're trying to say is virtual learning is a viable option for your family. And probably the best thing that you could do is contact us and talk about how it may work for your family. You know, it's back, like I said, when I started homeschooling, it really wasn't an option, but as my kids got older, thankfully it became an option. And we can certainly assist you with that and answer any questions that you may have. But in order to do it and to do it well, you want to choose a program that best works for your child's needs. I talk to families all the time, and I ask them, what is your educational goal and how can we assist you with that? And if there's something that comes up and I feel like, well, our program doesn't work for you, I'm going to let you know. But I'm also going to say, hey, this may be exactly what you're looking for, because we have this, we can accommodate this. You have both parents working out of the home, we can be there to help you. You need a flexible schedule, we've got that for you. So I think you know, just to kind of conclude this or wrap it up, is basically your number one goal as a parent is to, you know, research the programs and find a program that's going to work for your particular situation.
I guess we'll see if anybody has questions.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask, just go ahead and enter those into the Q&A box down at the bottom, and we will get to those. I know before we started, Lynn and Michelle, we talked about a few like frequently asked questions. Did you want to maybe get the ball rolling with one of those that we had mentioned, that we had just thrown around?
Frequently asked questions regarding virtual schooling.
Yes.
I think the number one question I get is how much time are they going to be on the computer, and do I have to log in at a certain time every day? And so with our particular program, the answer is no, you don't have to log in. The curriculum's just there for you, and it's your access when you need it. However, if you need that access that we offer to that credentialed teacher for that subject that you're taking, that science teacher, yeah, you're going to set up appointments with that instructor that you'll need to connect with them through Zoom or whatever it's going to be. But the curriculum's always there. So there is flexibility in that. You're not logging in. We're not asking you to join class at 9 o'clock with us. It's just you log on your computer when you want, and your curriculum's available to you.
Awesome.
And you'll also set up your appointments with your mentors and things like that.
Cool. Good deal. Now, we have a question from Heidi, who is asking about, can you tell us more about virtual learning and how it works through virtual learning, specifically through your program? She says through Home Life. So can you talk about the relationship between Home Life Academy and ArchwayOnline? Your ArchwayOnline, I know, is a sister school.
Sister school.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of change her question. Can you tell us more about virtual learning through ArchwayOnline and how it works? Can students take one subject like science or spelling?
If a student wanted to, we do have students that will dual enroll. They will enroll with Home Life Academy, our sister school, and then also enroll in ArchwayOnline for you know, 1 or 2 courses that they specifically are wanting the teacher and mentor support with. We can totally do that. And then we have some students that will fully enroll with Archway Online and take all of their courses with us, and we will be their official school. We're flexible as far as that goes. A part of it will depend on, say, for example, if it's a high school student, maybe a senior comes in, they may want to take all of their courses with Archway Online and graduate from Archway Online. They could do that, or they could enroll with Home Life Academy, take all of their courses through Home Life Academy, except maybe it's a physics class or chemistry or, upper level math that they're wanting that extra, tutoring and support with. They could take that with Archway Online and then transfer it to Home Life Academy and graduate.
Good deal.
I don't know if that's kind of what she was wanting to know, but
I think so. That's great. So if there are any other questions, go ahead and get them in now. Otherwise, Lynn and Michelle, thank you so much for being here and for talking through this with us. Everyone, if you are watching this on a video, if you're watching the on-demand version, then you can always contact Archway with questions, and go ahead and give a good email for them to get in touch with Archway.
If you could contact me directly at michelle@archwayonline.com, you're going to, that goes to me directly. And if you try and contact anyone else, they're probably going to send you to me anyway. So you might as well just send it to me.
Awesome.
And that's Michelle with 2 L's.
Oh, great. Yes, that would be Michelle. So we
person's wanting to know if
yes.
somebody was asking if we cater to overseas students in different time zones. Michelle, can you answer how that's working?
Yes, we do have international students. Again, our teachers do have office hours. So if you do have tutoring, you'll need to set those up probably within those office hours. But our teachers have been really flexible. And then also within our program, because Archway is an accredited program, we do have proctored testing, and proctored testing happens on the weekends, all hours. So there is flexibility in that as well. The flexibility comes with your curriculum. You can do that anytime during your day. It's just if you need to meet with that teacher or that mentor, you might need to meet. It might be later in the day for you because it's earlier in the day for the teacher or the mentor.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much for joining us. And thank all of you for watching and interacting with us here. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Jay.
You're so welcome.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.